You're listening to Wanderlust Diaries, the ultimate travel podcast for solo female travellers 40 and beyond who are ready to explore the world. Join me, Terry Reynolds, where we talk all things travel and why it's so important and what's stopping you from getting out there and exploring the world. We'll discuss the steps you can take now to fix it, empowering you to ignite your curiosity and set your heart free so that you have the confidence to travel wherever you want, whenever you want. Offering insights, tips, hacks, and remarkable women's stories along the way. So come on, grab your passport, pack your sense of adventure, and get ready to be inspired. Whether you're a first-time solo traveller or a seasoned globetrotter, Wanderlust Diaries is your community of like-minded souls, uplifting and supporting women over 40 who dare to explore. So welcome to today's episode of Wanderlust Diaries, and today I have a lovely guest with me, Michelle Burke. So thank you, Michelle, for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Over to you. Tell us a little bit about you.
You're welcome, Terry. Thank you for having me. So yes, I am an international best-selling author. My book is called Hot Mess Magic, Discover the Magic in Your Mess, where in the book I go through and I share a bunch of my messes, how I got into them, what I learned from them, because I wholeheartedly believe each and every one of us is a hot mess, whether we want to admit it or not. And that it's through that, and that it's through those low points in life, those vulnerable moments, that we unite. You and I and most of the audience cannot relate to having a $40 million concert tour or signing a $20 million movie contract or sports contract. However, each and every one of us can relate to a breakup. Each and every one of us can relate to losing a loved one. We all can relate to having financial issues, whether you have millions sitting in your bank account or whether you have pennies sitting in your bank account. Those are the things that unite us, but those are also the things that we have so much guilt and shame on, that we put up this facade and we live in this filtered world where, we say everything's fine, everything's okay, when in actuality, it isn't fine. We're crying on the inside. Like, we're screaming for help, but afraid to ask for help.
Do you know what? That really resonates, and I'm sure it will with all the listeners, because it's very true, isn't it? We've all got something going on. We've all suffered something, whether it's really big, really traumatic or not. We've all done that. So yes, that's very true. So what brought you there then to this?
What brought me there, so I am a former middle school science teacher and reached the point where teaching to the test was crushing my soul, and all the bureaucratic nonsense and the parents and the stress of parents were putting on their kids. I just couldn't handle it, and it was also where I was at within my own life. So I left, and I left with nothing. I actually left with nothing lined up. I quit my job, moved, and started my first business all at the same time, because go big or go home.
And that's it though, isn't it? You get to a point where nothing else will do, and it's just that's what you have to do. It's soul destroying, and you have to save your soul, basically, don't you?
Exactly. And that's what I did. That September, I did take a maternity leave replacement. And I taught from, it was actually October through June. And in that school year, I realized that it truly was me, that being in a school did not serve me anymore. It wasn't that I didn't love what I was doing. I loved being with the kids. I loved educating, making that impact, making that difference in their lives. It was just the environment wasn't me anymore. And I then went through, diving deeper into my own business. At that point, I was doing network marketing within health and fitness, and was within a peak of my own spiritual awakening. And was just diving deeper into that self-exploration. And I knew that I was always meant to write a book. I knew since high school that it was just one of those things that I was going to do.
Mm.
And it was September of 2018, and I was having dinner with a Facebook friend. It was our first time meeting. We met at a conference, and she's sitting there telling me something, and all of a sudden I stopped her. I said, I don't need to be rude, but I just had 3 words come to me that make no sense together, but I know that there's something. And those 3 words were hot mess magic.
I love it.
And the next day, at the conference, it was also the last day, and there was a book publisher that was there, and she was presenting. And afterwards, like as she's presenting, the tagline, "Discover the magic in your mess," came to me. And I'm sitting there and I'm doing a little dance in my seat. And a friend of mine on the other side of the room is texting me going, "What the heck are you doing over there?" I was like, those 3 words, it's my book. The tagline just dropped in. It's all coming together. I got up and I walked over to the publisher at the end, and I pitched her right there on the spot. Right there on the spot. And she looked at me and she said, "Most people don't hit a home run with the title on their first try. You just hit a home run."
Wow. How did that make you feel?
It was like this surreal moment where I was like, wow, okay, it's go time. And we scheduled a meeting afterwards, for when she got back home, I was back home, and we started talking. And what it would have cost me at that time to work with her financially, I just didn't have the money to invest. I knew that this was something I wanted to do. I knew that this was something I was going to do. The money just physically was not in my bank account. And after that, it's kind of ironic that after that, my life in and of itself became a whole hot mess, beyond mess, where my landlord asked me to move. Actually, before that, I had my car repossessed 4 days before Christmas, full of Christmas presents.
Wow.
Yeah, so the amount of guilt and shame surrounding that.
No.
Then I had, my landlord ask me to move out for his daughter to move in, which is actually legal to do in New Jersey if it is a family member. And it's a dwelling of 8 or less. You can have a tenant move out for a family member to move in.
Oh, charming.
Yes. And I had friends telling me, fight it, fight your landlord, fight your landlord. And I was like, no, I'm not burning that bridge. That's not my style. I'm not burning that bridge. And I just, rolled with it and I live at the beach. I found a winter rental to finish the end of the, winter with. And had an interesting summer of staying with a friend, that environment not serving me anymore, and going out on my own and having nights where it would be 10 o'clock at night and I wasn't 100% certain where I was sleeping.
I mean, that is. How old were you then, Michelle?
So that was 2019. I was 40 years old.
Yes, yeah, and that's an age, isn't it? For that to have that happen to you. And obviously things worked out because here you are. But when you're going through that, and you really have to have some sort of faith somewhere, don't you?
Oh,
It's
totally.
either in yourself or it's in the universe or whatever it is that you believe in.
Totally. And I would be sitting there at, almost 10 o'clock at night, sitting on the pier with my phone, texting a friend, who lives in a different time zone, saying to her, okay, it's almost 10 o'clock here. I don't know where I'm sleeping. She's like, just keep the faith, keep the faith. I'm keeping the faith. I'm keeping the faith. But right now I'm like, I'm ready for bed. I want to go take a shower and relax and unwind.
Yeah.
And then I'd get a text message from a friend that I sent a text to earlier in the day. Hey, was out with the kids all day. Just seeing your message now. Yeah, come on over.
Fantastic. Yeah. So there's the universe or whoever, whatever, is working in your favor. And how long did that go on for then for you?
That went on for a couple months, and then I did a month-long road trip. Actually, no, I take that back. Yeah, that went on for a couple months. Then I had a winter rental again. Then, the world turned upside down with COVID.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
Yep.
Don't mention the C word.
Exactly. Sorry, but
Yeah.
life as we know it changed. And but I didn't let that stop me. I did a month-long road trip, and it was exactly what my soul needed at that time.
And this trip, where was that trip? Where did you go? Was it local? Was it in the States?
It was in the States. Yes. I got in my car and drove down into Virginia and did like the Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah Valley, the Blue Ridge Highway, then went into North Carolina, Wilmington, and cut across. Like, I didn't take 95. I took all back, highways. My brother lives in North Carolina. He did at the time outside of Charlotte. So I went to my brother, spent some time with my brother, went down to Savannah, spent some time in Savannah, came back up, spent some time in South Carolina, went back to spent a little bit of time at my brother's on my way back up.
And during this time, obviously it wasn't a great, maybe the traveling was great, but what led you there to that point wasn't fantastic.
What led me there was I just kept getting this ping about Savannah.
Yeah.
Like, my soul was just like, you need to go to Savannah. There's something in Savannah for you.
And how far would that have been, Michelle, from you? Because obviously I'm from the UK, so I'm just trying to imagine.
So if I did the drive straight, it would have been a 14-hour drive.
Uh-huh. Okay. So
okay.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. It would have been a 14-hour drive south.
Okay. And so how were you then? Did you plan any stop-offs on the way, or was it a case of I'm driving and when I see something I'll be stopping?
So I had all of my sleeping destinations mapped out to where I would drive 6 to 7 hours within the day. But as far as what I was doing within that day, no, I didn't have anything planned out, mapped out. So if I was driving and I saw something that looked really interesting to me, it was like, oh, okay, let's go here. Oh, that looks cool. I'm getting hungry. Like, I'm getting hungry. Let's just get off at this exit. Or some places I stayed in, I was staying out 2 nighs. So I would ask my Airbnb host, like, okay, what are things that I have to do, or where's a restaurant that is a must to eat at?
Yes. So I just want to just backtrack a little bit, because I'm aware that we'll probably have listeners here who have never traveled before, who want to do this, they want to solo travel, and there'll be all those anxieties. So before you've done that, had you actually solo traveled before?
Yeah, I had solo traveled before, not to that extent. But for someone like, I wholeheartedly feel that we need to do at least one solo trip within our lives.
Yes. Absolutely agree with you. Yes.
No matter what that fear is, let it overcome you, because our bodies don't know the difference between fear, anxiety, excitement. It all feels the same. Like that, those butterflies we get when we're nervous, we also get when we're excited.
Yes. Absolutely.
So it's our brain that's telling us, I'm scared. Oh, I'm nervous. When in actuality, you very well could be excited to do this.
You could just flip it.
Just flip it. Exactly. And that's where, just listen to what your body is telling you.
It's like, because we've been there and we've done it. We know, right? And like, if you could just bottle that up and give it to somebody and say, right, there you go. It's just going to be, this is how it's going to be. But you can't give that to somebody. You have to experience it yourself. But all I can say is, and I think everybody I've spoken to, all the guests that have been on my podcast, we all say the same thing, that we're saying it as if it's matter of fact and it's just go and do it. And yes, it can be nerve-wracking the first time you do it. It can be a bit nervy and all the rest of it. There might be a bit of fear in there, but you have to feel the fear and do it, because if you don't,
Exactly.
you won't do it, and that's what you'll regret for the rest of your life. So you have to do it to experience it. Once you've experienced it, it's like, right, now I understand.
Exactly. And sometimes it can be as simple as getting in the car and driving someplace that's 2-3 hours from home.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be anything that's grand, far away.
Yeah. This is what I always say. You don't need to. I think with people who haven't solo traveled yet, but they want to, they think there has to be this grand gesture that you need to get on a plane and, be on a plane for 20 hours, be in some exotic land. But you haven't. You can just go an hour down the road. You've never been on your own before. And that's what you need to do. Keep it simple to start with.
Yes, keep it simple to start with, and then expand. Expand from there. And I think that was part of it for me also, as to I had these months where I was on my own and I didn't know where I was going to be sleeping, and so that in and of itself became an adventure.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's where we need to flip things instead of, oh my God, why is this happening to me? Okay, what is this showing me?
Yeah.
What is this showing me? What is this teaching me? What is this telling me about myself?
Yeah.
Because that's how we learn.
The first time that happened to me while I was traveling on my own, and I was a bit scared of it all. I've got to be honest. I think the first time it happens where it's not going, you think this plan is rigid, this is what's going to happen, and I'm going down there, and I'm going to turn right, and then whatever it is, and then all of a sudden you have to pivot. But I tell you what, the confidence you get once you've done that pivot, once you've completed that pivot and you've just taken a different path because you had to, the confidence is amazing that it gives you. Would you agree?
Oh, totally. Because I'm thinking of you saying pivot, which is making me think of the first solo trip that I did, where a cousin of mine was studying abroad in Scotland and I went to visit her. So I get on the plane, fly to Heathrow, and then I had to take the connecting shuttle from Heathrow to Gatwick. And my plane came into Heathrow just those couple minutes late. The shuttle to Gatwick was just that couple minutes, late, to where when I got to Gatwick and go to check my bag, they're telling me that I can get on the plane, but my luggage can't, because they'd closed for baggage. And I'm like, okay. And that's not gonna work. Well, you can get on the plane, we'll put your luggage on the next plane, and then you'll have to make that second trip back to Edinburgh airport to get your luggage. It's like, my cousin doesn't have a car.
No.
I don't want to have to take a taxi back to the airport the next day to get my luggage. I'm like, what are my other options? They're like, well, then you're going to have to come over here and speak to a British Airways agent. And I was like, all right. So I walk over, I sit, wait online. I get to the agent and I explain everything. And he's like, here are your options. You can either get on the shuttle and take a plane back to Heathrow, the next plane out of Heathrow, which, given timing, we're not 100% certain that you'll make that flight. Oh, exactly. Or you can wait here for the next flight to Edinburgh, which is in 5 hours.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, exactly.
Not ideal.
I'm like, all right, I'm tired. I'm hungry. Let's stay. And he's like, okay. And that's what I did. I turned, I spent 6 hours or 5 hours, whatever it was, in Gatwick's airport, was able to get internet service in the airport on one of the laptops to message my cousin She's like, hey, don't expect to see me for, the next 6 hours. Here's what happened. And
Oh,
just rolled with it. And
yeah,
that's the thing. When these messy moments happen to us,
yeah.
it's rolling with them.
It's how you react, isn't it? Yes, it's
Yes,
inconvenient,
yes.
but it's not the end of the world, because
Exactly.
there's always a plan B.
Exactly. It's like, okay, I'm hungry. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to have breakfast. I'm going to have my cup of tea. I'm going to wander around the airport. Oh, there are lounge chairs here in the airport. Perfect. I'm going to get myself all comfy, cozy in a lounge chair and try to take a nap.
Yep, yep.
I had stuff with me to do. So I'm like, I can easily kill this time.
Yes. Yeah. There's always a way around everything, and like I said, the first time it happens is a bit like, oh, and I don't like this at all because it's
Yeah.
not going to plan. But everybody deals with it. Everybody deals with it. And
Exactly.
it all works out. It all works out in the end. So obviously you got to Edinburgh then to see your cousin, and
I
were
got
you
to,
long?
I was in Scotland for about a week.
Mm.
And then we went from Scotland to Belgium. We did Bruges.
Yes.
I fell in love with Bruges.
Yes.
And then we went to Paris.
Lovely. Oh, very nice.
Yes.
Very nice indeed.
I was gone for a little over 2 weeks and had an amazing time.
Yes, yeah. Fantastic. So that was that, did you say that was your first kind of solo trip, going over to Scotland on your own?
For the most part, something that wasn't like a business trip.
Yes. Yes. Literally a leisure trip.
Exactly. Because I had it happen, on a business trip where, running through the airport, trying to catch my plane, having the plane take off and go. With the other person I was running through the airport with, that I was on the same connecting flight as me, going, there goes our plane. And having 6 hours to kill. In Seattle.
It's a bit different, a work situation, isn't
exactly.
it? But when you're actually on your own, you're literally on your own. You haven't got a boss you can ring as to say, "Oh, guess what's happened?" or "What shall I do?" type thing. You make all the decisions.
Exactly. That's exactly what I did. I called my boss, and first I called my mom because she was picking me up from the airport, and I was like, "Miss my flight, not my fault. Here's when my new flight's coming in." And then called my boss and said the same thing: "Missed my flight, not my fault. What should I do?" I know he said the magic words. He's like, go into downtown Seattle, treat yourself to a nice dinner. You can expense all of it. I was like, thank you.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. Yes.
Exactly. Expense it. You said the magic words. I'm good to go.
Wonderful. And did that kind of spark your love of travel by that first trip that you took to Edinburgh?
I've always had a love of traveling. I always traveled as a kid. My grandparents had a vacation house that was 2 hours away from where we lived, and I had a great aunt who lived up in Maine, which was 8 hours away from where I grew up. And so we would always go up to the house my grandparents had. I'd go up to where my aunt's house was in Maine. My mom would always take my brother and I on a trip with my cousins growing up. So we were always traveling and exploring and doing stuff as kids. Like, our summers were never boring. We were always doing something, and
doing something. Yeah, love that. So in between then this, going to Edinburgh, and then as a 40-year-old and you're off for a month, what happened in between, and what kind of trips were you taking in between?
So in between, I was doing a lot of trips at that. I was doing a lot of trips down to North Carolina after my niece was born. I had done trips out to Las Vegas, and a friend of mine lived up in Buffalo, New York, and we did. I went up there and did vineyards in the Niagara Falls region. That same friend moved down to Florida, and I was like doing solo trips down to Florida. So it's like it just became whenever I was traveling, I was traveling by myself. Now that's not to say all the trips I did were by myself.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Best trips I ever did, I did with a friend of mine, and to this day,
Yeah.
we still say it's like one of the best, if not the best, trip of our lives.
Yeah. So just because you solo travel doesn't mean you have to do it all the time. I've been to Spain a couple of times this year on my own, but I'm going back with a friend in a few weeks. And then a few weeks after that, we're off to Krakow together as well. So it doesn't, just because you solo travel doesn't mean that that's the way you must always travel.
Exactly.
It's such a liberating way to travel, and
it is.
It's that liberation of, I can do what I want when I want. I've got no one else to consider. And it is just that get up and go attitude, isn't it?
Yes, and it is, but I also find that there's something very healing about it, and gaining this deeper sense of self and becoming more in touch and aware with yourself, because going back to that whole thing of living in this facade and this filtered world, it's like we tend to, when we're away, act a little bit different because the people around us we're probably never going to see again. It's like we are able to let that guard down.
Yes.
And that's one of the other things that I just find so interesting is, why don't we just let that guard down all the time and truly let ourselves be that way?
Yeah. I just think that when we're at home, if you like, we have these responsibilities. We have these responsibilities where you have to act a certain way, whether it's within your role in work, whether it's with your parents, whether it's with your children, and that's just, we take on these roles, we just take them on. And of course, we all know that as soon as you leave the privacy of your own room, your own house, whatever it is, that the mask comes on to face the world. And we've all got that bit of a performance in us, haven't we? But I'm exactly the same as you. Once I go traveling, for some reason, I can let all that drop. I can just let that drop. And I don't know why that really is. Why can't we just be like you just said, why can't we just be like that 24/7?
Exactly. And what I truly believe it is we're afraid. We're afraid of being, judged, or, the shame of, people seeing us, having fun. Like, oh, God forbid I'm having fun. God forbid I'm laughing. God forbid I'm enjoying myself.
At that age, at 40 years old, how dare you have?
Exactly. Like, but these are the things that we take for granted. We take passion and joy and pleasure and fun for granted. Like, it's not child's play. Like, it's things that we should be doing every single day. Things that light us up, that bring us joy, that bring us pleasure.
Because we do this as children, don't we? You don't think there's nothing's been ingrained into us that you have to behave a certain way. But of course, we grow up with those expectations then, and therefore we conform. We conform, and we let all the childish stuff, if you like, as we call it, the childish stuff, we hide all that away, don't we?
Exactly. I mean, I'm dog sitting for a friend right now, and Saturday night it was raining here. She did not want to go out in the rain before going to bed, and I'm standing out there in the rain dancing, like telling her, come on, let's go out, let's go outside. And if anyone saw me right now, they would think that I was freaking crazy. Like, I don't care.
But don't you find that, like I found that after, because I traveled for a year, and when I came back, I found I didn't care about the rain. I didn't care about the wind. Yes, it annoys me now because I've been more indoctrinated again with the weather, etc. And I live in the UK. And so, but it didn't matter that I was out in the rain. It really didn't. Those little things just didn't matter. And when you're traveling for a year and you've only got, it's like material things as well. Things like clothes. You can only carry so many clothes with you. So I wore the same clothes for a year, you know? And then you come back and then you just start buying material things again, you're like, I don't really need them. How did I get to this point when I only had that? I just had a backpack full, and now I've got a wardrobe full. What happened there?
Yes, but that's also, because I actually just came back about 3 weeks ago from, a 2.5 month long trip, and that trip was kind of like my own eat, pray, love.
Where did you go? Tell us where you went.
I was in Western Canada, did Edmonton, the Canadian Rockies, Radium Hot Springs, British Columbia, some farmland outside of Calgary.
Wonderful.
And it was just, I had friends out there. It was primarily on my own. I have friends out there, so I was staying with friends.
Yeah.
Like I was staying with friends, but a lot of things that I was doing on my own. I mean, I did a 10-mile kayak trip down the Columbia River, where I had a bald eagle fly so low over me I could actually hear his wings flapping.
I mean, how'd you come home after a trip like that?
I didn't want to. I truly didn't want to. Where when I landed, I sent a friend of mine in Edmonton a text saying like, "Okay, I just landed," and she's like, "How do you feel?" I was like, "My chest is heavy and my throat is closing."
It
was like I immediately felt this constriction again, and it was like I had to sit there on the plane for a second and just ground and center myself and put myself back into this mind frame. And I actually said to the friend that I was staying with, I was like, "Can you not tell anyone that I'm back?" And they were like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I don't want anyone to know that I am back for the first 24 hours. Like, I just need 24 hours to myself of no one knowing that I'm back, just to integrate being."
Because it's like you literally have to come down off a high, don't you?
Exactly.
You've been up there and you're just having a fantastic time, and now we're back to reality.
Exactly.
Back to reality, and normal things have to resume. And you just want to savor the moments, don't you?
Yes, it's exactly what I wanted to do. Where even my car was at another friend's house, and I was like, "Yeah, I will get my car when I get my car." I'm not like, no, like I can. There's food in this refrigerator. The bank, the post office, everything else that I need is all walking distance. The beach is walking distance. I'm like, I don't need my car right now. It's like, because the second I get in my car, it's like, okay, the trip is officially over once I get in my car.
Exactly. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And so, while you're away and you're taking these trips and you're on your own, how do you keep yourself safe? Were there any times where you felt maybe a bit homesick? And so did you have to, kind of work through that? Because that happened to me while I was away. Just for a week or so, it's an awful feeling. It's nothing, you just have to work through it. You can't just say, right, you can't take a paracetamol and say, right,
exactly.
You can't for something like that. So did you have any of those moments where you kind of felt lonely or you wish you were back?
Maybe one or two. I know that one that I definitely had was when I was away. It was over 4th of July. So not being in the United States for 4th of July, kind of just felt a little weird, weird to me. And the fact that it was a 4-day, the way that the 4th fell, being this long, 4-day weekend, that felt a little a little weird to me. Also, I love fireworks, so
Oh.
no. But other than that, there weren't too many moments. I mean, some people would post some beach pictures, and I was starting to get a little bit at that point where I'm like, all right, like I'm starting to need the beach. It's like, I'm not at the, like, I'm desperate, but I'm like, all right, like, I'm a nature girl. I love, the beach, mountains, being outdoors. I was like, I was starting just to miss the beach, feeling, the sand on my feet, the waves, crashing against me.
Of course.
That's what was starting, to creep in.
Yeah.
But I also hate the beach this time of year. Just there's too many people.
Yes, yeah. And the thing is, when those feelings come in, you just have to think about what you've got to look forward to.
Yes.
You'll be going back to that. That'll still be there. When you go back, that'll be there. Yep. But right now, I've got this, and you've just got to try and focus, haven't you, on what's
yes, and that's exactly what I was doing. I was in areas that were gorgeous, just taking in that scenery and really just becoming one.
Yes.
Becoming one with nature, becoming one with myself. That's why I really can't put the trip fully in words yet. Other than saying, like, it was my own, like, eat, pray, love. And it's like, if you're familiar with the book, or you've seen the movie, like, where I'm coming from.
Yes, absolutely. Love that. And so I want to take us back to the story you started off with, your month road trip at the age of 40. So you told us how that started. So how did that end for you? What was your transformation? What was the transformation you got from doing that?
The transformation that I got from doing that was that I knew that it was officially time for me to leave New Jersey. So that is what I did that January. Anything that wasn't already in storage, because pretty much all of my stuff was in storage. The rest of my stuff went in storage. All that I had with me really were my clothes and some jewelry, shoes. That was pretty much it. And I went to my brother's, and I spent a month and a half at my brother's, and then I went to Savannah, because that was the plan, was to move to Savannah. And I spent a little over a month in Savannah, and I loved it. But I ended up coming back and staying with my brother. And
Why
taking
was that, do you think? What brought you back?
My niece.
Okay.
Okay, she was 4 years old at the time. I went back, and I stayed with my niece, and just really enjoyed spending that time with her at such a fun age.
Yes, absolutely.
Where the game plan was to move to Savannah, and yes, did I look at places in Savannah? Of course I did, but there was nothing that was like, yes, like, this is
and this is what happens though as well, Michelle, isn't it?
Yeah.
You might have this plan in your head, like we said earlier about pivoting. So even something that big where you're thinking, I could possibly move to this place in Savannah, but then realize, and there's nothing wrong with that either, that realize that no, it's not quite right for me.
It's what I realized was, it's like, yes, this is totally a place that I can live in, but it's not a place that I'm meant to live in year round.
Yes.
It's this place that I am meant to go to, and we all have these places.
Yes.
Where there are places that we're meant to go to that are to help us heal, grow, expand.
Love that. Yes.
But we're not meant to live there. We're just meant to pick up the magic. We're just meant to pick up the magic from them that's there for us. It's this little gift that they have for us.
Yes.
And then we're meant to go back to where home is. And anytime we come back to that location, that next present is going to be there for us. They're kind of like our own little Christmas.
Yes.
or
Love
we
that.
get that present when we go there,
Yes.
but we're not meant to live there. And
Yeah.
that was what I realized Savannah is for me. It's this place that I can go to that allows me to connect with, that flow, that feminine essence, that wisdom, that history that we all have within us, and that
Yeah.
Savannah being one of the oldest cities in the United States,
Yeah.
all right, this is what I'm getting from you. And yes, I came back. I came back to New Jersey with all intentions of not staying for 2022, but 2022 took a turn that I was not expecting. And ended up staying in New Jersey for 2022, 2023, and now like we're in 2024, and I am traveling, I am exploring, I am connecting back to myself on this deeper level, and connecting more with my higher self and my magnificence, my essence, my truth, which is what all of us have to do.
You're absolutely right, and travel is such a big part of that, isn't it? And experience, and even if it's in the same country, the different areas of where wherever your country is, that you can experience. So like we said earlier, it doesn't have to be a grand gesture of flying for 10 hours and being somewhere exotic. It's whatever you want to take, whatever it is you want to get from that experience. And that's what you have to learn yourself then, isn't it? Once you've done that, you will understand better. I think the first time you do it, you will understand better what it is you actually want from traveling, from being anywhere else apart from where you are. And experiencing those things.
Yes. And even when, like, going back to what I had said before, like, one of the great ways to do that is book that Airbnb. Like, go someplace, because that was something that I was doing last summer. A couple times a month, I was booking a hotel room or an Airbnb that was, just an hour away from where I was living. But it was a totally different environment
and it's like
that I was in.
It's freedom.
And it's freedom.
Just being away from the norm.
Exactly. And even if I, sometimes it was one night I was booking, sometimes it was 2 nights that I was booking, but just to break up that routine, and you're getting away, even though like you're driving an hour away from home, like you're still getting away, you're going somewhere different, you're packing a bag. It's like, even this past weekend, dog sitting, for a friend, 15 minutes from home. It's like, I packed the bag. Exactly. It's something different. Could have gone home. I could have gone home at any point over the past weekend to, do things at home, or to, grab something. It's like, no, I'm staying right where I am. I'm not going home. I'm not venturing direction at all.
Absolutely, yes. It is, like we said, it can just be 15 minutes down the road, but 15 minutes away is not at home. You are somewhere else.
You're somewhere else.
I'm, and even now, if I have to go away for work and I'm staying in a hotel, something like that, then it's still away. I'm still packing a bag.
Exactly. Exactly. And as we're sitting here talking about this, like, if I truly think about it, like, that just packing a bag and going away, even if it's someplace that's 15 minutes from home, is actually something that I did in college. Where the guy that I was dating, it was something that we would do. We would, you'd go, okay, we're going away for the weekend, but I have to work, so we're gonna stay, local. I was like, okay.
It's just that excitement, isn't it, of doing that?
Exactly. And we would.
And so, what have you got coming up in the future now? Because obviously you haven't long come back, but have you got anything for the future already planned?
As far as travel? Sunday, in 6 days, I'm driving down to see my niece and spending the week with her before school starts. And then after that, nothing that is concrete. Friends of mine in Canada are now saying to me, "You're so far away. I miss our conversations. Come back, come back, come back."
Nice.
And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to go back there just yet. I think I want to explore some newer places. Or I might even go back to places that I still within the United States, just that I haven't been to in a while. Just explore old stopping grounds that I know have changed over the years.
And why not? And are you quite spontaneous, Michelle? Or do you like to have yours planned? Yes, same as me.
I am quite spontaneous, and that's I'm quite spontaneous. I'm also quite that go with the flow. So I could, if a friend were to call me up and say, "Hey, want to go here this week?" Sure, let's go. The friend of mine that's in Florida has done that to me, plenty of times.
That's usually me, Michelle. That's usually me ringing my friends. Let's do this, let's do that. But when you have married friends, it could be difficult for them to get away, whereas I can just do things at the drop of a hat and please myself. So what's kind of in the future for you then, like work-wise, etc.?
Work-wise, so I am working on my second, which is the working title is "No More I Love Yous: A Journey Through Grief." So yes, it's a little bit heavier of a topic than my previous book, but it's also one that is, again, something that I knew that a book that I was going to be writing. I just didn't realize that I would be writing it this way.
Yes.
And then my own podcast is getting ready to launch. Yes, the Hot Mess Magic Show, diving into those same concepts as my book, having guests come on and sharing some of their hot mess moments.
Oh yes,
and
I'd be good for that. I'd be a good guest for you there.
But not only sharing their hot messes, but I've also had guests come on and share reprogramming your brain.
Yes.
So what we're now learning with the neuroplasticity of our brain, and how diving deeper into how we're getting into these situations and how we can flip that switch and prevent these situations, or these repeated situations, from continuing to happen. And so super excited to have
so that's a double whammy, that is. And if anybody wanted to contact you at all around these topics, where can they find you? I mean, I'll put all the information in the show notes, but is there a specific place that they would be able to contact you?
You can, my website is Michelle with 2 L's, burke.com. You can find me there. Social media, Instagram, I am magic with a CK Shell.
Like that.
Yes. Magic Shell is a nickname I've had since high school, and I'm sticking with it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I love that. Oh, that's great.
And that's those would be the two.
That's great, because what I'll do is I will put your information in the show notes. So if anybody then needs to find you, wants to come and find you, they can.
Perfect.
And once you get your podcast up and running, I'll re-edit and I'll put the link to the podcast in for you as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Once you've got that launched, when are you thinking of having it launched?
I am thinking of next week is my anticipated launch date. I have episodes, several guest episodes recorded. I have a couple of my own episodes that I have to record, but we're getting there.
Wow, amazing. Oh, well done on that, because I love, I love this podcast. I love doing this, and it doesn't feel like work or anything like that at all, especially when you're having lovely chats like this. It's fantastic.
Exactly.
I do this all day.
Yes.
But, But yes, it takes a bit to get those guests in, decide what the content's going to be, and then all the background stuff, the behind the scenes stuff that you have to set up to be able to publish onto different platforms. It's a bit of a feat in itself, isn't it? Just to get it.
It is.
Well done. Well done.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure, Michelle. Thank you ever so much for
You're
coming
welcome.
on.
Yes, it has. You're welcome.
And talking to us today. It's been lovely. And like I said, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, all the details will be in the show notes. So once again, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And that concludes this episode of Wanderlust Diaries, celebrating the fearless spirit of solo female travellers who are 40 and beyond. I hope you found inspiration, valuable insights, and a renewed sense of wanderlust. Thank you to all our incredible listeners who have joined us on this exciting journey. Remember, age should never stop your quest for adventure, because the world is waiting for you to explore its wonders. And don't forget to join our community on social media to connect with fellow travellers, and subscribe and review us on your favourite podcast platform. All links are in the show notes. Keep dreaming, keep exploring, and stay fearless. Until next time, this is Terry Reynolds signing off from Wanderlust Diaries. Psst, don't keep me a secret. Please tell your friends and fellow travellers.